Welcome to Afri Tales by Moonlight. Please subscribe, like, comment and share our channel with your friends. Thank you.
The ballroom of the Eco Convention Center pulsed with lead blues and lilacs, 1,000 name tags flashing under chandeliers. Kai Adeyemi, once Lagos's scrappiest dreamer, stood motionless beside the champagne bar. His tailored tux felt 2 sizes too tight, the collar, a noose reminding him that even luxury could strangle. Across the room, a woman in a jade jumpsuit walked the stage with an elegance that made the audience hush mid-sip. The name on the massive holoscreen read Mrs. Noelle A. Tijani, co-founder, Strataverse. Noelle. The syllables tasted familiar yet foreign, like a forgotten melody suddenly resurrected on the radio. She moved with a deliberate grace, dreadlocks pinned in a gold cuff above bare shoulders, the microphone glinting against mahogany skin. Reporters leaned in. Investors nodded. Cameras tracked her every blink as if the night's algorithm obeyed her gestures. Kai's chest tightened. Years ago, he'd watched this same woman scribble financial ratios on lined paper by the light of a dying bulb, and then pawning her grandmother's brooch to buy him a bus ticket to a Abuja startup incubator. Back then she wore second-hand blazers with frayed sleeves and shoes whose soles whispered against the pavement. He had promised her the world and then traded her for Savannah Olumide, whose world came pre-wrapped in satin. Now, Savannah stood a meter away, scrolling boredly through her phone. Even in her diamond-studded gown, she seemed dim next to the stage's soft halo. She tilted her head. Why the statue face? Go congratulate your old colleague, she teased. But Kai barely heard. Every jolt of applause felt like an electric shock. On stage, Noelle's wedding band sparkled as she gestured. Not only successful, married. A thunder of realization cracked open inside him. The life he abandoned had become the life he was now shut out of. When she turned, their gazes collided. Only a second, but in that second Kai's lungs forgot how to wake. Then she looked away, serene, already elsewhere. I can't breathe, he muttered. Nobody noticed. The band struck a triumphal riff, and the ballroom roared. Noelle Ifechukwu balanced 2 plastic bags of Akara and a stack of stapled ledger sheets while pushing open the side door of Keystone Logistics. The rainy season sun cast syrupy streaks through dusty blinds, illuminating floating flecks and the clatter of cheap ceiling fans. It was 7:03 a.m., 37 minutes before the managers arrived in exactly enough time for Noelle to reconcile yesterday's freight invoices. She liked empty corridors. They gave her permission to exist without performing. In a world obsessed with noise, invisibility felt like armor. Sade, the receptionist, poked her head from behind a partition. Morning, financial oracle. The accountant's printer jammed again. Noelle smiled. I'll fix it after the ledgers. God bless. Sade vanished. Noelle claimed the lone cubicle nearest the records room, set the Akara on a folder, and booted an ancient desktop humming like a generator on fumes. Numbers danced across her monitor. Freight weights, customs duties, obscure lines of SAP code. She untangled discrepancies as if they were loose braids, margins tightening under her keystrokes. At 8:45, footsteps thundered. Mr. Shinubi, operations head, lumbering in with a Bluetooth earpiece and complaints about traffic. Ifechukwu, he said without eye contact, need those Kenyan Airway tariffs by noon. Chop chop. Yes, sir, she replied, voice low. He didn't thank her. He never did. None of that mattered. Noelle tracked deliverables like constellations only she could see. Each completed task was a quiet star. Lunch break found her outside on the crackback steps, rainwater scent rising from asphalt. She sipped millet pap from a thermos and opened The Intelligent Investor, a battered copy with curled pages. As she highlighted a passage about intrinsic value, an unfamiliar figure approached. He was tall, too tall for the flimsy plastic umbrella he'd borrowed from security. Water trickled from the ribs of it onto scuffed sneakers. He carried a laptop clamp under one arm like it might bolt any second. Sorry, he said, breathless. You work here? Yes. Noelle closed her book. My name's Kai. I have a meeting with the procurement director about a fraud prevention API, but his assistant just cancelled. My laptop battery is dead, and I'm miles from any cafe with outlets. Noelle studied him. He had hopeful eyes and a shirt still damp from the storm. The memory of once beating similar odds stayed empathy. There's an unused socket in the records room, she offered. Come in. I'll make coffee. His relief was almost childlike. You're a lifesaver. They wove through cubicles, past humming photocopiers. Inside the cramped records room, Kai knelt beside the only power bar while Noelle fetched instant coffee sachets. Caffeine fumes filled the air. So, she said, leaning against a metal filing cabinet, tell me about this API. Think of it as anti-fraud for e-commerce in real time, he replied, eyes brightening. Machine learning scores on every transaction before authorization. Stop scammers mid-click. He gestured enthusiastically. Rainwater splattered off his cuffs. Noelle frowned. Ambitious. But banks will cite compliance. And you need capital for the data pipeline. Kai laughed. Story of my life, capital. I've entered 3 pitch competitions. No wins yet. Next is the Lagos Digital Foundry Showcase. If I can refine the deck. Noelle's brain ticked. Let me see your deck. He hesitated, then pivoted his screen. It was cluttered, fonts fighting, numbers unanchored. Brilliant idea, poor packaging. She tapped the trackpad. You're underselling transaction cost savings. Clarify with an example. For every 1 million Nigerian nairas processed, merchants save 120,000 Nigerian nairas in chargebacks. Kai whistled. That's precise. She shrugged. I read industry reports for fun. Something electric flickered between them. 2 strangers sharing a wavelength others couldn't detect. Over the next half hour she rearranged slides, sharpened graphs, trimmed jargon. When his battery hit 88%, he closed the lid. You've rescued more than my laptop, he said softly. How can I thank you? Noelle flushed. Compliments felt like borrowed suits, slightly ill-fitting. Just win your competition. He grinned. Deal. That afternoon, after Kai left, Noelle found herself replaying their conversation while updating airway tariffs. She told herself it was nothing, until his follow-up email landed at 7 p.m. Subject, dinner? Or at least thank you, Suya. Could use your genius brain again. Promise I'll buy the pepper-free bits too, face with tears of joy. She stared at the blinking cursor a full minute before typing back. Pepper-free suya is blasphemy. 6:30 tomorrow. Book Den Cafe. She hit send, then exhaled into the fluorescent stillness. For the first time in ages, the invisible girl wondered what it felt like to be seen. Book Den Cafe sat on a quiet street in Ikoyi. The small patio held leafy plants and warm hanging lights. Kai arrived first, holding a folder of new slides. His stomach tightened, partly because of the pitch deck, partly because he was meeting Noelle outside office walls. At 6:28 p.m., Noelle walked onto the patio in a mustard-yellow blouse and black jeans. Raindrops shone on her cheeks. She waved, a little shy. Kai stood so fast he almost tipped his chair. Hey, he said. His voice cracked. Hi. Noelle tucked a braid behind her ear and sat down. They ordered spicy suya and ginger beer. They talked about podcasts. She liked Planet Money. He liked how I built this. They laughed over childhood slips. Noelle once fainted during morning assembly. Kai got turned down by a school crush. Kai pulled out his laptop and showed the updated slides. You did half this work, he admitted. Noelle pointed to a chart. Your spending is still high. You could rent cloud space instead of hiring full-time engineers. Kai tapped his pen. Great idea. Would you join as an advisor? You'd get a share of the company. I already have a full-time job, she said, but I could help at night. 2% of the company for you. She laughed. Make it 1% and pay for my CFA study books. Deal. Kai grinned. They tapped their ginger beer bottles together. As night settled, the patio grew quiet. Kai's smile faded to a serious look. Can I tell you something? Noelle nodded. I'm scared, he said. I pretend to be bold, but one bad week and I'll be back on my aunt's couch. Noelle put her hand on the table. Being brave means acting even when you're afraid. Kai let the words warm him. How do you always say the right thing? Lots of practice, she said with a small smile. They left the cafe, and Kai walked down the street grinning wider than he wished. He typed a note into his phone. Find a way to keep her close. Noelle's tiny flat in Yaba smelled of instant noodles and lavender soap. She spread her bank papers on the floor, trying to save for the CFA exam. Every choice hurt. Fewer taxes, no new shoes, Maybe sell the old brooch? The brooch was gold with a tiny ivory picture. Her Grandma Eukena's gift to her mother. Selling it felt wrong, but the exam could change her life. She checked pawnshop rates online, then shut the browser, ashamed. Her phone buzzed. Kai, tweak slide 7. Need your eyes tomorrow. She sent a thumbs up, guilt mixing with excitement. The Lagos Digital Foundry contest buzzed like a beehive at Landmark Center. 30 Stat UPS hoped to win 10 million Nigerian Nairas and a 6-month program. Backstage, Kai paced in a borrowed navy blazer. Noel fixed his collar. Breathe, she told him. Breathing is overrated, he joked, wiping sweat. Noel placed a folded note in his hand. Read the last line before you go out. He opened it. They are not here to judge if you're worthy. They are here to see if you believe you're worthy. His shoulders relaxed. You're my secret weapon. She squeezed his hand a little longer than casual. Go win. From the wings, Noel watched him on the stage. He shared his mom's story of losing 200,000 Nigerian Nairas to an online scam. Slides moved cleanly. Our tool cut fraud by 42% in tests. Judges wrote notes. Time ended. Applause filled the hall. Backstage, Kai ran to Noel, eyes shining. I felt unstoppable. Because you were, she said. They hugged. He lifted her off the ground. Laughter broke the tension. Outside under string lights, dark clouds gathered. Let's celebrate, Kai said quietly. Dinner, real dinner, not suya. Yes, she said too fast. He brushed a raindrop from her hair. Lightning flashed. They leaned closer. Hey, Kay. A slim woman in a bright red jumpsuit walked up, tapping on her phone. Savannah Olumide, she said to Noel without waiting. My dad was on the judges panel. Your pitch was amazing, Kay. Kai's face lit with fresh excitement. Savannah glanced at Noel, then told Kai, we're having an after-party at Azure Tower. Venture guys from San Francisco and Berlin want to meet you. Noel's stomach dropped. Kai looked from Savannah to Noel. Sounds great, he said. But Noel and I. Savannah waved him on. Bring a guest if you like. Don't be late. She clicked away on high heels. Noel forced a smile. You should go. It's good networking. Only if you come, Kai said, earnest. No, she answered, lifting her tote. I have work tomorrow. Rain started, soft like an unasked question. Kai shoved his hands in his pockets. Text me when you get home. I will, she said, heading toward the bus stop. He watched until the crowd hit her. Near midnight, Noel's phone lit, at the party. Wild vibes, smiling face with open mouth and cold sweat. Wish you were here. She began typing get some sleep, erased it, and sent congrats again. Proud of you. Kai read her message from a penthouse balcony where champagne flowed and Savannah laughed at all his jokes. Victoria Island lights shimmered in puddles below. He pictured Noel on a thin mattress in Yaba, guilt poking him, brief but smaller than the rush of new power. Inside, Savannah introduced him to investors. One handed him a silver card, another set coffee in Palo Alto next month. Opportunities multiplied fast. Every time Savannah touched his sleeve, he felt pulled into a shining new world. This is it, he told himself. Everything I worked for. But under the buzz of champagne, Noel's words echoed. Being brave means acting even when you're afraid. He drowned the echo with another toast. The 5 a.m. Harmattan breeze sliced through Noel's threadbare coat as she waited for the Yaba to CMS bus. Her phone vibrated. Kai's sunrise selfie with the caption still buzzing. Pitching to Berlin VC via Zoom next week. She smiled despite the chill. His wins felt like hers. But rent was due, and her calculator app blinked red. She thumbed through mobile bank alerts. 82,700 Nigerian Nairas in her account. Rent, 150,000 Nigerian Nairas. CFA Level 1 exam fee, 320,000 Nigerian Nairas. Noel inhaled the exhaust-flavored air. Find a way, she coached herself. An elderly vendor shuffled by, balancing a tray of bean cakes. Akara, fine girl. No, thank you. Her stomach growled, but discipline overruled hunger. By lunchtime she stood before Star City pawnbrokers. Gold letters chipped, neon flickering. Inside, fluorescent lights made everything look counterfeit. Mr. Abiola, the pawnbroker, examined the brooch under a loupe. Ivory cameo, Gold filigree. Sentimental piece. Family heirloom, she whispered. He waited. 180000. A spasm rippled through her chest. Memories of her grandmother teaching her Igbo proverbs in a courtyard flooded back. But the spreadsheet in her head screamed for solvency. Receipt, please, she said, voice flat. Cash slid across the glass. She took it, numb, like signing away a chapter of herself. Outside, Lagos traffic roared, indifferent to private grief. Kai's apartment, a single-room mini-flat near Suryale, was a chaos of sticky notes, takeaway boxes, and whiteboard sketches. Noelle arrived after work, textbooks tucked under her arm. Kai greeted her with contagious energy. Berlin VC wants a proof-of-concept demo in 2 weeks. That's huge, she said, forcing brightness. They dove into a strategy session. Noelle mapped out a cost-benefit analysis of cloud microservices, turning complex jargon into digestible slides. Kai watched her fingertips fly. At midnight, he brewed instant coffee. Steam fog cracked windows. You're incredible, he said softly. She brushed it off. Focus, we still need a risk mitigation slide. But when their eyes met, the air thickened with things unsaid. 2 days later, Kai texted at 11 p.m. Savannah's dad wants me on a panel tomorrow. Shipping tech meets fintech. Good exposure. Come. Noelle, tomorrow is Keystone's inventory audit. I can't. Kai, skip it. They'll survive. She stared at her screen. They won't survive losing the only person who reconciles their numbers. Instead, she wrote, knock them dead, genius. He replied with a selfie, Savannah beside him. Perfect teeth. Perfect dress. Wish you were here, though. Noelle put her phone down, pressed palms into her eye sockets, and kept editing his predictive loss spreadsheet. On Zoom day, Noelle arrived early with donuts to celebrate. Kai's living room smelled of detergent. Savannah had hired a cleaner. The call began. Kai nailed market stats, but an investor asked, what's your data protection compliance strategy post-GDPR? Kai faltered. Noelle, sitting off camera, scribbled the acronym LGPD and held the paper up. Kai recovered smoothly. Call ended. Savannah, watching from the couch, clapped. Impressive save. Then, to Noelle, you're the assistant. Noelle opened her mouth, but Kai laughed. She's the wizard, he said, yet didn't define her role. Labels matter when lines blur. Savannah tossed her hair. We should celebrate at Skybar. Kai glanced at Noelle, who gathered her bag. You two go, she said, heartbeat roaring in her ears. Are you sure? He asked. She nodded, smiled, mask perfectly fitted, and left. 2 nights later, Noelle returned, armed with the latest deck. The door was ajar. Inside, Savannah's laugh floated from the kitchen along with wineglass clinks. Move the accelerator to Palo Alto, Savannah was saying. Daddy's jet leaves next month. You'll love California sunsets. Noelle froze. Palo Alto. Kai hadn't mentioned relocation. She stepped back into the hallway. Her nameplate on the deck's cover seemed to mock her. Chief Strategy Advisor, Noelle Ifechukwu, soon useless across an ocean. She turned, walked down the stairs, and into the night, blinking hard at the sting behind her eyes. Late-night message from Kai. Sorry I didn't tell you first. Everything's moving fast. Let's talk tomorrow. She typed, of course. Proud of you. Then deleted the clots of hurt and hit send. She cried quietly into her pillow until dawn. Kai called Noelle on video from the balcony. Look at the lagoon behind me. Big views spark big ideas. Noelle's one-room flat, peeling paint, kettle on a hot plate, looked dull in the background. If you're happy, that's good, she said. He took her polite smile as plain tiredness. Soon we'll both be on billboards, he joked. But things changed fast. Savannah's media team rebuilt his slide deck, swapping Noelle's clean charts for shiny pictures. Her name, once large, shrank to tiny print under early helpers. During a shared Google Doc edit, Noelle marked her bio. Can we keep this larger? Kai answered. PR says fewer words look cleaner. You know I value you. At Keystone, co-workers whispered. Noelle's guy's moving to the U.S. Sade asked by the printer. You're joining him, right? Noelle forced a smile. I'm busy with audits. Kai planned one last dinner. TerraCulture's roof sparkled with fairy lights. Menu items were printed in French. He came late in a pale gray linen shirt. Noelle wore her best thrift shop dress. Talk wobbled. He praised Silicon Valley money. She asked about rules and laws. Their words felt thin, ready to snap. Mid-meal, Kai reached out. Come with me. To California, she asked, breath caught. Yes. I'll pay for your visa and find you a role. We can build this together. Hope flickered, but worry pressed harder. Am I a partner or an extra? What title would I have? She asked. He blinked. We'll work that out later. Noelle pulled her hand back. I can't move my whole life on later. Kai's tone sharpened. Every startup is unsure at first. Unsure, yes. But leaving me out? No. Quiet spread. Finally he said, Savannah's dad wants a slim founding team. So I'm extra weight? She asked. I didn't say that. You didn't need to. A Violinist Started Perfect by Ed Sheeran. The irony hurt. Noelle stood, napkin shaking. Congrats on everything, Kai. Her voice cracked on everything. She left before tears blurred the stairs. Kai sat, turning a wineglass, feeling something priceless slide away. But his drive for success drowned out the sting. Next morning, Noelle sent a file, transition notes and equity check. Minutes later her texts to Kai showed one gray tick, never two. Calls rang once, no answer. By night she knew. He had blocked her. She stared at their old selfie. Two dreamers shoulder to shoulder. She deleted it, then emptied the trash. Her heart felt like a ledger full of red ink. At the Olymide Penthouse launch party, Kai shook 20 hands in 10 minutes. An investor from Dubai asked Savannah, not Kai, for progress numbers. She looked at Kai. Speak now. Kai answered, but the investor spoke back to Savannah, your family has vision. Kai's smile froze. He felt like a dressed-up prop. In the bright marble bathroom, he stared at his suit. It fit, yet he felt small. He pictured Noelle's tiny table, receipts everywhere, her steady voice cutting through chaos. Regret stung. 2 weeks later, a Berlin fund said no. Price too high. Product still early. Savannah's dad shrugged. Another will invest. Others echoed the doubt. They wanted real users, not promises. Kai suggested a trial with mid-sized shops. Savannah waved it away. Too small. Think big companies. Stress bent Kai's shoulders. He coded all night. But every show and tell hit rule questions Noelle once flagged. He searched her last email for clues, then remembered. Blocked. He typed her name into WhatsApp. Nothing. Blocking cuts both ways. Regret poked. Pride patched over it. Savannah's condo smelled of scented candles. Kai lay awake on soft sheets while Savannah live posted shop openings on Instagram. He asked, maybe we should call Noelle. She knows Nigerian rules inside out. Savannah lifted an eyebrow. The quiet girl. Way past beginner help. Kai fell silent, the hush heavier than any fight. One sleepless night he wrote. Subject, thank you. I ended things too fast. Fear and hurry guided me. You deserved better. I hope you're winning. K. He stayed at send, then clicked save draft. Fear won again. He closed the laptop. As sleep crept in, one thought looped. If I make it huge, maybe this will all feel right. Yet inside, the shine was already flaking, showing rust beneath. 4 months after Kai moved in with Savannah, he felt used to wealth, until the Blue Ledger Gala at the Civic Center. Asterisk bright lights swept the water. Long cars like Rolls-Royce lined the street. Asterisk Kai wore a new suit picked by Savannah's stylist, but cameras only clicked for Savannah. Asterisk inside, Savannah's dad raised a glass. Tonight we honor big ideas, plus my future son-in-law. Kai's heart jumped, but the spotlight never hit him. Next, the host praised HydroShield, a rival company that just raised $12 million. 2 investors who once ignored Kai now backed HydroShield. Their founder even winked at Savannah. Kai shrank. Savannah kept scrolling posts about her dress. After that night, investors cooled. Many heard HydroShield had big bank deals. Kai suggested serving small shops. Savannah's dad said, small shops don't count. Savannah wanted a new logo and fancy ads. Kai needed real users, but he stayed quiet. Most nights he sat alone, fixing code. Savannah went out to social events. Kai's debit card failed on a latte. The family had skipped his payment. He used wrinkled cash. Back home, he said, I need money access for our service. Savannah kept typing. Dad is holding money until we find new investors. Kai snapped, I build the product. Let me work. She sighed. Your bad energy slows things down. At a tech event, Kai pitched again. Half the crowd left to watch HydroShield next door. His slides froze at 13%, people laughed, and Savannah live-streamed herself from the VIP area. Afterward, an investor asked, do you have a strong tech partner? He once had Noel. Now he didn't. That night Savannah walked in wearing a silk robe. Dad booked a trip to Turks and Caicos. Let's go. I can't, Kai said. I must fix the code. She frowned. You're no fun. He replied. Fun won't save the business. They argued about money and respect. She finally said, maybe Dad is right. You're just charity. Something broke inside Kai. He slept on the couch, staring at the ceiling till morning. 2 days later, a blog posted, Olumide heiress cuts funds to failing startup. Memes showed Kai as a gold-digging doll. HydroShield liked a few. Savannah's team removed all photos of Kai. Party invites stopped. Kai packed his worn suits and half-built gadgets. His old flat's rent had expired, so he booked a cheap hotel. The aircon blew warm air, and the continental breakfast was stale bread. On the bed he whispered Noel's name but felt too ashamed to call. At 3 a.m. he opened an unsent email to her. He typed I messed up, then deleted it. He typed I need help, then deleted that too. He shut the laptop and put his head in his hands. The bright hotel light showed one clear fact. He had climbed on borrowed ladders, and now he was falling fast. Distant sirens wailed him into uneasy sleep, music for broken dreams. 3 weeks after the fallout, Noel queued inside Zenith Bank, clutching forms for a mysteriously frozen salary account. The marble lobby echoed with irritated customers. Next, barked a teller. Noel stepped forward just as a man in a charcoal kaftan approached another window. The teller rejected his check. Frustration wrinkled his calm face. They glanced at each other, mutual commiseration. He offered a rueful smile. Noel managed one back. Minutes later they ended up at the customer service desk side by side, waiting for the same supervisor. He chuckled softly. Seems we're both victims of system upgrade day. His voice was warm, measured. Noel noted his subtle wristwatch, quality but not ostentatious. I'm Noel, she said. Idris. Nice to meet a fellow hostage. They swapped stories, her frozen account, his company's misplaced wire transfer. She discovered he ran Tijani Strategy Partners, a boutique brand-building firm. When the supervisor finally fixed their issues, Idris turned. Can I repay your patience with coffee? There's a cafe across the road not run by banks. A spontaneous yes leapt from her lips. Mocha Spot's cafe smelled of cinnamon and possibility. Over cappuccinos, Idris asked about her work. She spoke modestly of freight ledgers, sprinkle mentioning slide decks for a friend. Idris's eyes lit. Freight logistics taught you process, advising of fintech taught you storytelling. That's gold. He crept up Noel's neck. She hadn't connected those dots herself. Idris shared his own path, marketing director turned entrepreneur after realizing many Nigerian brands confused noise for narrative. We craft identity, not just ads, he said. Conversation drifted to books. He loved Adichie. She loved Akib. He teased. Team Adichie outranks Akib on character depth. She countered with an eloquent defense of things fall apart. Laughter melted any residual awkwardness. When she checked the time, 2 hours had evaporated. Idris pulled out a business card. If you ever want a place that recognizes invisible brilliance, call me. That night, Noel opened her laptop to research Tijani Strategy Partners. Their campaigns were subtle, culture-anchored, award-winning. A job page listed brand analyst, duties suspiciously similar to what she'd done unpaid for Kai. Heart thudding, she drafted an application. Before hitting submit, she hesitated, self-doubt creeping like fog. Then she remembered the brooch pawn ticket in her drawer. Proof sacrifice must eventually yield. She clicked send. Tijani's office occupied a renovated railway depot, exposed brick, potted palms, sunlight slanting through skylights. Noel wore a thrift navy suit freshly pressed. Idris greeted her personally. HR will join, but I wanted first handshake. The panel asked scenario questions. Noelle mapped freight bottlenecks to brand pipeline analogies. Her answers crisp. She even referenced LGPD compliance, residual knowledge from Kai's fiasco. After 90 minutes, HR left to compile notes. Idris remained. Off record, he said. The way you reframed cost centers into storytelling assets, that's senior consultant thinking. She flushed. I thought it might be too unconventional. Unconventional scales mountains. He leaned forward. Take a walk with me. They climbed a spiral staircase to a rooftop garden overlooking Lagos's skyline, a mosaic of ambition under humid sky. Idris gestured at the city. Nigeria is a narrative war zone. Brands promise heaven, deliver potholes. I need strategists who see hidden connective tissue, from supply chain to social impact. That's you, Noelle. Wynn tugged at her braids. I'm on it. Start as brand analyst level 2. Path to associate in 6 months. Salary, double your current. Plus, we'll sponsor CFA if you still want it. Her breath hitched. Yes. He extended his hand. She shook it, feeling years of invisibility crumble like brittle clay. Day 1, a welcome kit, laptop, notebook embossed with her name, and a card. We're glad you're here. She nearly teared up. Her desk overlooked a mural of a woman watering city rooftops like potted plants, growth in unexpected places. Idris stopped by. We value balance. No heroes burning midnight oil daily. She smiled wryly, remembering all-nighters over Kai's deck. Noted. Weeks blurred into milestones. Noelle led a rebrand for Iocraft, a women-led textile firm. She created a Threads of Heritage campaign intertwining fabric patterns with storytelling podcasts. Sales spiked 28%. In meetings, colleagues sought her insight. Idris publicly credited her. The sensation of being seen still startled her but began to feel natural, like muscles unclenching after prolonged strain. One Friday, Idris invited her to a modest bistro, grilled plantain aroma wafting through open windows. Conversation skated from data ethics to Yoruba folklore. At one point, he said quietly, "You occupy rooms like you're asking permission. You don't need to." She toyed with her glass. Old habits. Plus, imposter syndrome throws monthly parties in my head. He chuckled. Tell it rent is due. Their laughter lingered. Something warm unfolded between them. Slow, respectful, free of the gravitational imbalance that once tethered her to Kai. With her first bonus, Noelle returned to Star City Pawnbrokers. Mr. Biola recognized her. The cameo's still safe. She repurchased the brooch, caressed its gold leaves. The ivory figure seemed to smile, ancestral approval. At home, she placed it in a velvet box atop her dresser, a reclaimed relic of sacrifice now transformed into testimony. One morning, HR forwarded her an invitation. Keynote co-host, West Africa Brand Summit, alongside none other than HydroShield and TrustShield, Kai's company, name unchanged. Her pulse quickened but steadied. Past and present would soon collide on a brightly lit stage. Noelle closed the email, exhaled, and pinned her grandmother's brooch to her blazer lapel. Its weight felt like armor, but this time, shining openly for the world to admire. The office at Tijani Strategy buzzed on Monday morning. Writers argued over taglines. Designers reviewed user steps on large screens. Noelle walked into a glass meeting room where 12 teammates waited to plan a new campaign for GaiaGrow, an eco-farm startup accused of fake green claims. Idris opened the meeting. Our job is to turn doubt into belief, but with real facts, he said. He nodded at Noelle. You lead. Noelle rolled out a whiteboard. It showed 3 simple steps. 1. Seed to plate truth. Photos of crops from field to store. 2. Farmer stories. Short phone videos made by the farmers. 3. Crop data. QR codes that show real harvest numbers. Alu, a senior planner, asked, what if farmers do not join? Noelle hit the next slide. 65% already signed up. People laughed and nodded. Meeting done. Outside the room, Alu whispered to a coworker. She is a shooting star. Thinking Noelle could not hear. She did and smiled. That evening most lights were off. Only desk lamps glowed. Noelle and Idris stayed late to set dates for each task. Rain hammered the windows. Idris saw the heavy rain. Let me drive you home, he said. Noel knew walking to the bus in that storm was a bad idea. Thanks. In the car, soft jazz played. Street lights smeared orange lines on the wet glass. Idris asked, "Do you ever rest?" She laughed. "My idea of rest is a spreadsheet with no formulas." He smiled. "Rest feeds talent." The rain eased at her gate. She surprised herself by asking, "Ginger tea inside?" Idris checked his watch. 1 cup. Noel's small flat looked brighter now. Fresh teal paint, a used bookcase, and a tall green plant named Zay. They sipped tea. Idris saw a small gold pin on a board. "It is lovely," he said. "It was my grandma's." She told the story of pawning and buying it back. "You turned loss into value," he replied. They talked about his mother in Kano and her school days in Enugu. At 11, Idris stood. "Early meeting tomorrow. Thanks for the tea." He kissed her hand. Noel leaned on the door after he left, heart racing. Weeks blurred. The Gaia Grow ads went live. Social media praised the clear proof. Investors came back. The Gaia Grow boss wrote, "You did not hire an agency. You started a wave." Idris called Noel to his office and gave her an envelope. Promotion to associate brand strategist, with stock. She gasped. "Already? It has only been 4 months." "Results set the clock," he said. "Celebrate." To mark the win, Idris held a Saturday garden brunch at his home in Ikoyi. Paper lamps hung from trees. Highlife music played. Noel arrived in a flower print suit. Idris hugged her, holding her close for a beat. A trivia game broke out. Noel and Idris were on the same team and won easily. Later, under a quiet arbor, Idris cupped her face, paused to be sure, then kissed her softly. "I have wanted to do that since we met at the bank," he said. "Yes," she whispered and kissed him again. Rainy season ended. Cool Hamatanayat took over. Their romance grew steady, not rushed. Work stayed professional. Weekends were museums, dance classes, and old music swaps. One Sunday they painted her wool cream. Noel told him the full story of Kai and the brooch. Idris said, "I am sorry someone treated your worth so lightly." He pointed at the fresh paint. New coat, new chapter. They rolled paint until sunset. Noel learned that love can be calm strength, not just fast thrill. Soon an email arrived, West Africa Brand and Tech Summit. Noel would join Idris on stage to talk about honest stories in a noisy world. Earlier that day, TrustShield and HydroShield would pitch to investors. Noel read the agenda. Her pulse stayed even. Healing had built a base. Now she would rise higher. She drafted her first line. "Story is the money of trust. Spend it with K." She pinned her grandma's brooch, pressed her suit, and felt ready. Landmark Event Center buzzed with delegates, banners flapping, espresso machines whirring like mini turbines. Noel and Idris arrived early, matching badges. He squeezed her hand. "Stage lights are just glorified daylight, nothing you can't handle." She smiled. "Daylight never blinded me." They headed backstage, AV Tech's clip mics. Noel rehearsed lines, voice resonant against velvet curtains. Kai arrived with a loaner suit and a USB stick of patched overnight slides. His eyes were ringed by sleepless weeks. Beside him, an unfamiliar PI intern carried brochures printed on home inkjet, Savannah's funding long gone. He stole a glance at HydroShield's booth, sleek LED display, swag bags. Their founder Tulu fist-bumped bankers. Kai swallowed envy. TrustShield presentation in Hall C. An usher directed. Kai peeked in, half-filled chairs, audience scrolling phones. Kai mounted the small stage. Throat desert dry. Slide 1 froze for 3 seconds before advancing, already a stumble. He pitched hard, weaving stories of his mother's scam loss, but data tables were outdated. A man in row 2 whispered to his colleague, both eyebrows raised. Question and answer session. Investor. You project 100,000 active users yet list no partnership letters. Who's onboarding? Kai, way in advance talks. Investor. Name one. Kai's silence thudded louder than any answer. Polite applause trickled. He stepped off stage, sweat varnishing his spine. Backstage, he slumped on a folding chair, face in hands. The PI in turn handed him water. You were great, she lied. Kai forced a nod, stood to leave, and spotted Idris Tijani walking by, headset on. Behind him, Noel emerged, reading cue cards. Electric shock. Everything narrowed to her stride, confident, grounded. The jade jumpsuit from the prologue had been replaced with an ivory power suit. Her brooch glinted like a sunrise shard. Kai's lungs cinched. He ducked behind a banner, heart hammering. Hall A filled to capacity, nearly 1,000 seats. Idris and Noel settled into armchairs on a low stage framed by digital vines. A massive screen displayed their topic, truth tellers, brand integrity in an attention economy. Noel opened. We live where misinformation spreads faster than electricity bills. The antidote isn't louder ads, it's lived values. She wove examples, a microbrewery that publishes real-time supply costs, a fintech that live-streams code audits. Her cadence balanced warmth with authority. The crowd was rapt. Idris prompted. You once said, clarity markets itself. Elaborate. Noel smiled. When stakeholders can trace origin to outcome, they become evangelists. Authenticity is the new billboard. Applause thundered. Cameras flashed. Her image splashed on social feeds. Kai slipped into the back row, anonymous. As he watched Noel command the room, shame wrapped him in cold chains. Every metric she cited, every empathetic anecdote, he recognized echoes of conversations at Book Den Cafe, nights rewriting his deck. She had harnessed those muscles to lift herself, while he chased shortcuts. When the session ended, a standing ovation rose. Noel scanned the sea of faces, offering gracious nods. Her gaze briefly brushed the back. Kai ducked, unsure if she'd noticed. Post-keynote, Noel and Idris navigated congratulations in the VIP lobby. Idris was whisked away for media soundbite. Noel stepped aside to sip water, then froze. Kai approached, hands trembling. Noel. Her throat tightened, but she remained still. Hello, Kai. The words carried neither frost nor warmth, balanced like a scale at 0. He swallowed. Your keynote, phenomenal. Thank you. Silence stretched. Cameras clicked elsewhere. Kai's voice cracked. I owe you an apology I'm not sure you'd care to hear. I've moved on, she said gently. But if saying it helps you, go ahead. He exhaled jaggedly. I was arrogant. I blocked you because I couldn't face my own inadequacy. Everything crashed. I thought success required discarding ballast. Turns out I threw away my anchor. Noel absorbed the confession. Old pain stirred but didn't consume. You didn't break me, Kai. You revealed me, to myself. He blinked back tears. Is there any chance to collaborate again? I mean professionally. She considered him. Creased suit, tired eyes, still clutching that USB stick like a lifeline. Compassion tempered resolve. Collaboration requires trust. Trust requires accountability. Start with holding yourself accountable, not to me, to your mission. Then maybe the world will listen. He nodded, defeated yet oddly lighter, as if honesty were the first oxygen in months. Idris rejoined, arm sliding around Noel's waist. Kai's eyes flickered to the gesture, then to the ring on her left hand he hadn't noticed, a slender band embedded with a single emerald. Words fell from his lips unfiltered. You're married. Yes, Noel replied, squeezing Idris's hand. Very happily. Sound of finality. Kai managed a strained smile. Congratulations. Idris extended his free hand. Idris Tijani. Kai shook it. Kai Adeyemi. Noel sensed Kai's internal tremor. She offered a polite nod. Take care, Kai. He whispered, you too, and stepped back, swallowed by the dispersing crowd. In the hallway, Kai leaned against a pillar, chest tight yet breathable. He spotted a trash can, hesitated, then dropped his warped USB inside, symbolic shedding. For the first time in years, he felt lost and strangely free. Perhaps rock bottom wasn't a grave but a foundation. Inside the green room, Noel exhaled. Idris kissed her forehead. You all right? Yes. Just history echoing. He tilted her chin. Past tense. Let's focus on chapter next. She smiled, heart uncluttered. Outside, a reporter asked for photos. Idris and Noel posed, partners in story and life. Camera flashes etched the moment into collective memory. Noel's brooch glinted brighter than stage lights, a reclaimed fragment now centerpiece. That evening, on their balcony overlooking Third Mainland bridge lights, Noel clutched a cup of mint tea. Idris joined, resting her head on his shoulder. She murmured, I saw Kai, and I felt compassion, not anger. That's growth, Idris said. Growth, she echoed. Wind tousled her braids. And gratitude, for detours that led me here. Idris kissed her temple. To detours. They clinked mugs. Below, Lagos throbbed. Horns, laughter, music. Above, the sky unfolded clear, no longer needing storms to cleanse old footprints. The summit's closing gala unfurled under a canvas of string lights on Landmark's waterfront terrace. Afro-soul band the cavemen tuned guitars, while servers passed trays of puff-puff drizzled with caramel. Noelle, in a burgundy satin dress, mingled with delegates who praised her keynote. Idris lingered nearby, pride radiating. Across the terrace, Kai hovered alone near a heater lamp. Slick mist off the lagoon freckled his lapels. He nursed sparkling water, couldn't afford champagne, and replayed Noelle's words in his head. Collaboration requires accountability. His phone buzzed. Last remaining angel investor. We're withdrawing our soft commit until proof of traction. Message timestamped 3 minutes ago. Kai exhaled, gaze tracking the band as they launched into Runaway Lady. He drifted to the pier's edge, shoes clacking on damp planks. Lagos's skyline shimmered, mocking. Footsteps approached. He half expected Savannah, but it was the PI-10, Adiz. Mr. Adeyemi, I'm heading out. Need my balance for brochure prints. Kai blinked. Balance. Reality crashed. He hadn't paid her at all. He fumbled wallet. Only 2 crumpled 1,000 Nigerian Naira's notes. I'll transfer tomorrow. Promise. Adiz's eyes saddened. Tomorrow is rent day for me. She walked off, leaving guilt howling louder than the band's amps. Thunder rumbled. Memory reeled to the night Kai first told Noelle his vision. In that cramped records room, rain pounding tin roof, her belief had sounded like thunder's kinda twin. Now actual thunder cracked and no one leaned in to listen. He opened the draft apology email again, fingers trembling. He typed, I need to repair what I broke, starting with refunding every dime you spent on me. He hit send before cowardice could stop him. Inside, Noelle sensed her phone vibrate but ignored it. Tonight was celebration. Idris clinked glasses with Guy Gro's CEO, who offered them a retainer extension. Noelle excused herself to the terrace foyer. Under fairy lights, she watched ripples lap the dock. The night smelled of sea salt and char-grilled suya. She felt content, yet a faint tremor of unfinished business lingered. Her phone lit. Subject, I'm sorry. From Kai. She inhaled slowly, debating. Then she slipped the device back into her clutch. Tomorrow. Kai re-entered the gala seeking Idris. Maybe he could broker a professional second chance? He spotted him near the buffet, but as he approached, Hydeshield founder Tolu intercepted Idris to congratulate him. Kai hesitated, realized nobody welcomed him into circles anymore. He pivoted toward the exit, and collided with a catering cart. Platters crashed, sauce splattering his suit. Gasps erupted, cameras swiveled. An MC gently ushered him away, murmuring about fresh linen in the staff room. But Kai heard the subtext, exit quietly. Humiliation scorched him. He fled down a service corridor, cheeks flaming, until he reached the parking lot's darkness. There, he leaned against a wall and slid to the ground amid puddles. Rain intensified. Kai dialed the only number that mattered. His mother. She answered groggily from Ibadan. He broke down. Mema, I failed. She listened, then said, MMI, the ground is the only place you can push up from. Come home for a while. Home. The thought felt both defeat and mercy. He promised to consider it. Sunrise painted clouds rose gold. In her apartment, Noelle brewed coffee and finally opened Kai's email. It read longer than the preview. Full of itemized debts he intended to repay. Acknowledgement of ego. Admission of blocking her out of Faye. She set the mug down. Forgiveness was not invitation, but release. She drafted a reply. Kai, thank you for taking ownership. I've long made peace, so no reimbursement needed. Instead, pay it forward. Support another overlooked talent as I once supported you. Wishing you clarity on your next chapter. N. She hovered, then hit send. A lightness followed, like exhaling stale air. Kai read her response from a bus heading to Ibadan. Tears blurred the window view. He typed, I will. Then shut his phone, vowing silence until action replaced words. His mother greeted him with Ifo Riro and a hug that stitched torn parts. Over weeks, he helped repair her tailoring shop's books, coded a free SMS notification tool for local farmers, and slept on a foam mattress that squeaked with every dream. The pace of small existence reset his pulse. One market afternoon, he noticed endless queues of petty traders paying daily fees to collection agents who frequently miscounted cash. Fraud blossomed. Kai envisioned a USSD-based micropayment tracker requiring only feature phones. He scribbled schematics, tested prototypes with merchants after dusk. They adored it. No investors, no buzzwords, just utility. Kai named it TrueTill. He hired Adiz as communications lead, paying her first month from his dwindling savings. She accepted, tears shining. Traction grew organically. By month 3, 2,000 merchants used TrueTill. Local government requested a demo. Kai felt purpose in clog veins. While presenting at Oyo SME Forum, he overheard attendees planning to attend the upcoming Pan-African Commerce Expo, co-hosted by Strataverse Consultants, Noel's firm, and Tijani Strategy. He smiled, scribbled a silent promise, arrive with results, not excuses. Victoria Island's brand new Oceanic Expo Hall loomed like a glass wave, banners fluttering for the Pan-African Commerce Expo, PACE. Inside, exhibitors assembled booths amid the clang of scaffolding. Strataverse Signature Green stood out. Noel orchestrated last-minute lighting tweaks while Idris reviewed speaking schedules. TrueTill, operating on a leaner budget, was tucked in the SME pavilion. Kai, wearing a simple charcoal suit, laid out sample Nokia feature phones preloaded with his USSD interface. Adiz arranged a hand-drawn poster reading, cashless, cordless, fearless, TrueTill. Kai inhaled the scent of fresh carpet and possibility. 8 months had rewritten him. He typed a note on his phone. Aim, authentic curiosity, zero chasing. He glanced toward the main hall where Noel's company name was printed above a massive lead wall. No pang of jealousy, only quiet admiration. Crowds surged through turnstiles. A brass band played high-life classics. Noel and Idris greeted delegates. Cameras flashed as they cut the ribbon with the Minister of Trade. Noel's brooch caught morning sun, scattering tiny prisms onto the blue carpet. In the SME pavilion, Kai demoed TrueTill for a trio of market women from Ibadan. They giggled at seeing their microsales total on an ancient phone screen. No more quarrel with collectors, one exclaimed. Each registered on the spot. An NGO rep from Rwanda observed the demo. Does this scale across currency variations? She asked. It does, Kai said, showing code snippets. Her eyes widened. She scheduled a breakout meeting. Adiz whispered, that's 6 partner bookings in 2 hours. Kai nodded, heart steady. Not the frantic high of the past, but grounded satisfaction. Late afternoon, Noel slipped into the pavilion, scouting grassroots fintechs for a panel on inclusive innovation. She paced the aisle past stalls of QR code payments and AI chatbots, then paused. Familiar laugh. Kai gestured animatedly to a group of delegates, posture open, face unguarded. Noel observed unseen for a beat, noting the absence of suits hovering for selfie clout. TrueTill's booth welcomed small traders, not VCs. Their eyes met. Kai offered a respectful nod. Noel stepped closer. TrueTill. Payment tracking for market traders, he said. No smartphone required. Noel picked up a demo phone. Impressive. Nigeria has 37 million unbanked adults. USSD bridges that chasm. Kai's smile held gratitude, not need. We're piloting with Oyo AgriCo-op next quarter. Adiz returned from photocopying sign-up forms and greeted Noel enthusiastically. Word of Noel's keynote had spread even to SMEs. Noel's gaze softened at Kai's small, purposeful team. Keep building, she said warmly. Impact speaks loudest. Kai inclined his head. Thank you for believing in me early and for forgiving me. His voice carried zero agenda. Noel nodded, brooch glinting. A gentle peace settled, final stitches over old wounds. Next morning, the expo hosted its headline panel, Inclusive Rails, Commerce for the Next Billion. On stage, Noel, moderator. Idris, Minister of Digital Economy, an East African microloan CEO, and, added last minute by popular vote, Kai Adeyemi of TrueTill. Backstage, the coordinator explained to Noel, Attendees ranked SMEs to spotlight. Trutil talked. Noel raised an eyebrow, then approached Kai. Ready? He chuckled. I've rehearsed humility. The panel drew a standing room audience. Noel opened. Access remains the continent's greatest differentiator. Let's talk solutions, not slogans. Kai shared Trutil's story. How collecting 200 Nigerian nairas daily from pepper vendors required trust, not just tech. We coded in Yoruba, Hausa, Igbo prompts, he said. The whole murmured approval. When asked about funding, he replied, we bootstrap via transaction microfees, empower users first, investors second. The room erupted in applause. Idris observed Kai with quiet respect. No rivalry, only appreciation for a fellow builder's evolution. Pace closed with the Emerging Impact Award ceremony. Strataverse won Best Corporate Narrative. Applause thundered. Minutes later, the announcer revealed the Impact Award. Trutil. Kai froze. Adiz squealed. He walked to stage lights, humble a suit amid glittering gowns. Accepting the plaque, he said, I once chased validation at the expense of those who mattered. This time, I built with them. Thank you for seeing us. In the audience, Noel's eyes glistened. She joined the standing ovation, palms meeting Idris's in mid-clap. A modest afterparty gathered on the expo rooftop. Lagos night breezes carried Afrobeat basslines. Kai approached Noel and Idris holding 2 bottles of malt. To new seasons, Kai toasted. Noel clinked. Idris added, may we compete only in making Nigeria better. Laughter floated into the star-dusted sky. The three chatted about regulatory sandboxes, rural internet, the best suya joints in Ibadan. Across the roof, the Minister of Digital Economy summoned Kai to discuss a potential pilot grant. Kai excused himself. Idris turned to Noel. Watching him now, you can't tell he ever broke your heart. That's how healing works, she said softly. Scars turn into stories. Idris tucked a LOC behind her. Our story's next chapter, ready? She smiled. Always. In the distance, Kai glanced back at the couple. No envy, just gratitude, and returned to his conversation, focused on the dawn ahead. At Strataverse New Victoria Island headquarters, Noel's brooch sat in a display case titled Portrait of Resilience beside other artifacts from team members' journeys. Idris's first freelance invoice, a designer's cracked stylus, a copywriter's rejection letter. AJ used the exhibit to mentor interns. Triumph often sprouts from discarded soil. In their Ikoyi apartment, Noel and Idris hosted a quiet dinner. Plantain lasagna, Zobo spritzes. Conversation lingered on next month's East Africa expansion and their upcoming wedding anniversary getaway to a Boudou cattle ranch. Noel felt the calm hum of a life aligned. Before bed, she opened her laptop. Incoming email, from Kai. Subject, pay it forward. Noel, we just funded a Girls in Tech scholarship in Ibadan, named the Ukena Fellowship after your grandmother, because a single brooch once ignited my future. Thought you should know it's lighting others now. Gratefully, Kai. Tears blurred the screen. She read it to Idris, who embraced her quietly. Later, journal in lap, Noel wrote, peace is power unburdened by bitterness. Kai found peace through service. I found peace through purpose. May our stories remind anyone watching that the horizon rewards those who keep walking, not those who cling to empty skies. She closed the journal, set it beside an open window. Harmattan winds rustled pages but couldn't displace them. Roots deep, story complete. Outside, Lagos glimmered, endless, chaotic, magnificent. Somewhere beyond the skyline, market women tallied sales on feature phones while brand campaigns spiraled across digital billboards. Two once intertwined lives now ran parallel, each forging different yet harmonious melodies in the grand orchestra of becoming.
Please don't forget to subscribe, like, comment your thoughts and share. See you in the next story. Afro Tales by Moonlight.